stepping up to that seat, and what a time he has had stepping up to that seat so far. Full-time Haas driver, and currently 10 minutes into quali 1, the fastest driver out on track. Storms on a flying lap, so too as QB has set a lap time of a 29.0 to go P12. The two V-Carb cars could do with finding a bit of time. Storms though back out on track on a set of mediums, going down to the first sector split now on a 28.1 through the first sector. Cinders out there in the second Ferrari, just on an outlap. And Yanaudi still out on track, still looking to set faster and faster times in that Red Bull. We'll keep an eye on this lap as Task Manager over the line starts a new flying lap now. Storms meanwhile through Copse corner, and that Williams wanting to step out a little bit on the exit of Copse. Just about kept all four wheels inside the white lines. And now Storms through Maggots and Beckett onto the hanger straight 104.8 through the middle sector for Storms on this set of mediums. Behind him is the V-Carb of QB, who looks like he could be going around one more time on a hot lap. The Storms now down to the club chicane. On the loud pedal, nice and gingerly for Vale. Make sure you don't slide the way around the corner. 29.8 for Storms, slowest yet of anyone so far, and well, very potentially very much in the danger zone. Yanaudi also on a hot lap has found some time through the first two sectors, but only a couple of hundredths, and now through Stowe corner at the top of the hill, down now toward the club chicane. Vale as well onto the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight over the line. Yanaudi improves by a couple of thousandths of a second, and only exactly that, as Cinders I believe has just dropped it coming through Luffield, and indeed he has. You see the grass on the tyres when we cut to him, as Cinders needing to reset and go again. Task Manager's next lap improves by a second. A 28.3 for Task Manager puts him up into P11 in the Kick Sauber car. Also out on track we have Edveer Regent on there, out there on an out lap. No sign yet of Litz or Alex Carew coming out onto track. As Daymere in the Aston Martin out onto track as well. 27.6, 6.1 for Daymere. Currently finds himself in P9. Storm's going back to the pits, following in the Ferrari of Cinders. Meanwhile, Regent, the championship leader, starting another hot lap, going through Abbey and Chapel, down now toward the village and loop corners. Little bit of a wobble coming out of loop through Aintree. Regent out onto the Wellington straight, opens up the DRS, and over the first sector split now, down by 0.2 of a second. This is a mighty first sector from Regent, looking to stamp his name at the top of the timing tower for the time being. V-Carb of Daddy Cool back out onto track for another outlap. Yellow flag sector 3 goes away. 4 minutes 45 left on the clock as NMX James heads out onto track as well for another flying run. Meanwhile, Regent now through Maggots and Beckett as LA from P4 on a 27.2 retires from the session. Regent's now onto the hanger straight, not running out, not using all the width of the track, finding a little bit of time, down now by 4.5 tenths of a second, coming uphill towards Stowe corner. Regent in the Ferrari, down, and the Lewis Hamilton tribute helmet. How dearly the British crowd would have loved to have seen Hamilton do well in this race in real life earlier in the year. Regent though trying to make that right, improves by a mighty 0.6 of a second. 26.2 for Regent, puts him right to the top of the pile. Moomin Rider, if you're watching, the ball's very much in your court now. Cam McKenzie retires as well on a 27.3, 3.5 minutes just over to go, as Yanaudi retires from the session on 27 flat. Edveer and Daymere on hot laps. NMX James, Daddy Cool, QB and Storms all on outlaps. Still no sign yet from Litz, Cinders or Alex Carew with 3.5 minutes to go, and I say that and Cinders is rolling. Edveer is finding a 10th and a half through the middle sector. We have a Sauber leaving pit lane as well. That's the Sauber of Taz Manager. Also out onto track comes Movement Rider in the Haas, looking to respond to Regent's lap. Edveer around the final corner, over the line, down by 0.2 of a second, up to P7 on a 1:27.3. Litz rejoins the session with just enough time to go out again for another flying lap. Damir on the run to the line in the Aston Martin as Adams retires from the session. Damir 27.2 goes to P5, should be safe from there. Next to the line will be QB? No, it won't. It will be, I believe that's one of the Alpine cars. No, it's not. It's a Williams. It's the Williams of Storms there next to the line, who will start and flying lap. Beaton joining the session now as well. 2.5 minutes left on the clock. Beaton's going to need to get a wriggle on to set a flying lap time to get out of Quali 1. Next car to the line then, Cinders to start a flying lap as well. So the next car to the line on a flying lap will be Daddy Cool, who's just gone through Stowe Corner at the top of the hill. As Alex Carew goes out onto track on an out lap. Beaton is taking the other Mercedes seat, joining Grant's, replacing Schulk for the week. Daddy Cool around the final corner over the line, 31.6, no improvement on that previous personal best. Next car is the other V-Carb car of QB, over the line, down by 0.4 of a second, 28.6, remains P13 but closes the gap between himself and Daddy Cool. Less time to find then. Taz Manager starts a flying lap. Next car to the line as Regent retires from the session will be Damir, unless Damir heads to the box. Damir, no, dives to the left hand side of the screen as we look and goes back to the pit lane. Moomin Rider's bailed on that out lap, so Moomin Rider then happy to sit P2, just making sure that the track wasn't rubbing in too much. Taz Manager up by 0.1 of a second through the first sector on what is likely to be Taz's final flying lap. Moomin Rider retires from the session now as well. Daddy Cool on a lap, QB on a slow lap, needs to get a wriggle on to go around again. Alex Carew and Beaton are both on out laps. Storms is coming around the final corner now on the run to the line, needs 1.2 seconds, finds 1.2 seconds, 1:28.619, goes P13. And if no one else gets a time, that lap will see Storms safe. Let's Cinders on the run to the line now, actually over the line, stays P15 at 28.798. Cinders, unless he can go again, is in trouble here if everyone else behind sets a lap time. Alex Carew made it to the line. Beaton's got to run to the line, 23 seconds, and he's only at Maggots and Beckett's. I don't think Beaton will get there, so we'll have lost one of 3 drivers now, as Litz has made it to the line. Yellow flag, sector 1, that's got a slow moving V-Carb car of Daddy Cool, who's gone straight on in the first couple of corners. Stays off track and out of the way of everyone else. Checkered flag falls. So we have lost Beaton in the first round of qualifying, just joined Quali 2 late. Daddy Cool retires from the session in P12. That is a safe V-Carb car at least. Who else is on a flying lap? Can Cinders go round again? QB not finding time in the first sector. Storms not finding time at all on an invalidated lap. And Cinders isn't on a particularly hot lap, so can Litz and Alex Carew knock out QB and Cinders? Alex Carew round Stowe Corner will be the first one to try and make it through to Quali 2, alongside Regent, Moomin Rider, Yanaudi, LA, Damir, Grants, Cam McKenzie, Edveer, Adams, NMX James, Taz Manager, Daddy Cool, Storms, and over the line, Alex Carew to the top of the pile, 1:25.963, first car into the 1:25s. Regent and Moomin Rider, are you both watching? As Litz now on the run to the line to be safe, P5 knocks out QB and Cinders, the 3 we lose then. QB, Cinders and Beaton will line up on row, the back end of row 8 and row 9 as well, as QB sets a final lap at the death there, 28.250, knocks the Williams of Storms out, who missed out to Daddy Cool by 0.07 of a second. So the 3 we lose are Storms, Cinders and Beaton. when the adage is it's not over until the fat lady sings. Well, the fat lady wasn't singing for QB there at the end, who just about made it through into Quali 2 by setting that lap at the end. As there are the final standings: Alex Carew from Regent, Moomin Ryder, Yanaudi, Litz, Ale, Daymir, Grant, Cam McKenzie, Edfir, Adams, NMX James, QB, Tasmanja, Daddy Cool. The 15 that go through, Storm, Cinders and Beaton, are the 3 we lose. And well, that's 6 cars. Litz down to Edfir, separated by about 0.3 of a second. And with Daddy Cool, Adams, Edfir and Yanaudi all setting their best lap times on a set of mediums, this is going to get quite exciting going into Quali 2. So folks, don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back with more racing action. As the green light is on down the end of the pit lane, that means only one thing: we are underway for the second round of qualifying. Reminder, we're looking to lose the slowest 5 when the checkered flag falls, to form grid positions 11 through 15 and leave us with the 10 for the pole position shootout. That will be 12 minutes of hectic action if the first round of qualifying was anything to go off. Early movers and shakers in the pit lane. One of the Aston Martins, the Aston Martin of Ale, just about gets out in front of Grant. And, oh dear, there's a little bit of contact there as Tasmanja just about gets out in front of Regent in the pit lane. NMX James also out onto track, so a good number of cars rolling very early down pit lane. Still they come rolling down pit lane. Litz, the last car of this opening salvo, then not to head out onto track. That will leave us with just 5 left in the box. Adams, Daddy Cool, QB, Edfir and Yanaudi, the 5 that decided to remain. The first car out on track was Ale. In the Aston Martin. Aston Martin, who are based pretty much a bad golf shot away from this racetrack. That being said, so too are Mercedes. Alpine's not that far away as well. And now onto track comes Adams and the 2 V-carbs, Daddy Cool and QB. So we're just left with 2 in the lane. There's Ale now around Vale onto the Lewis Hamilton straight, and is the first car to start a flying lap time here in qualifying 2. We'll compare sector times as soon as they come in. Grant's now over the line as well to start a flying lap, followed by Regent as well. They'll be the 3 we follow. It's Ale already through. Entry now onto the Wellington Straight, of course named after the World War II bombers that flew from Silverstone when it was an RAF base in World War II. 27.5 for Ale through the first sector. Grant's now down the Wellington Straight, 27.5 to beat. Matches on a 27.5. Regent over the first sector split doesn't give us a time delta. Next car then over the line will be Tasmanja on a 28.2 on a set of mediums, 0.7 up, as I say, on that set of medium tyres. Tasmanja looking to preserve a large number of sets of softs for later down the weekend. Ale through the middle sector, 103.4 for Ale. Coming up to the middle sector split now. Grant's 103.4 to beat. Runs out very wide there through Chapel. 103.3 despite that. Regent on the middle sector split. 102.6. Regent with the early advantage here. Grant's now as through the club chicane down to Vale in the number 2 Aston Martin on the run to the line. 27.6 for LA. First car over the line. Grant's next car up has bailed on the lap as through goes Regent in the 21 Ferrari over the line. Regent 26.3 back to the top of the standings. Grant went over on a 33.5 after backing out. Tasmania 29.3. Cam Mackenzie 27.293 goes P2. Moomin Rider 26.449, just under a tenth of a second off the back of Regent. Damir 27 flat, 6 tenths clear of his teammate over the line. NMX James a 28 flat, Lit a 26.6. Next up to the line is, who's next up to the line? It's Alex Carew on a 26.5, goes P3. 4 cars then into the 126s early in the session. The 2 Red Bulls out on track now as well. All 15 cars out on track, and most of them at the end of the first sector, start of the second. Next car to the line will be Daddy Cool in the V-carb, hard onto the brakes for the club chicane. Take as much of the curb as you can, don't hit the sausage curb, run out wide. On the run to the line, Daddy Cool 28.7 goes P9 in front of Tasmania. Next car to the line was, who was that? That was Adams on a 26.5. 5th car then into the 26s. Adams just a few hundredths of a second off the back of Alex Carew. His teammate QB 32.4. Slow lap there for the V-carb car on a set of mediums. XPG Grants has gone back to the pits. Edvir's still on an outlap. Yinaudi's on a set of mediums on a 27.6 through the first sector. So after the opening salvo of qualifying 2 laps, still a couple more to come in, the 2 Red Bulls, but it is advantage Regent from Moomin Rider and Alex Carew as Yinaudi has dropped it through the Maggots and Beckett section, resets the track, and that is going to cost definitely this lap and probably that set of tyres for Yinaudi, as Edvir is now on a set of softs. They are the tyres that everyone has set their best lap on so far, and it's mediums for Taz, QB and Yinaudi. Everyone else has gone for a set of the Redwood soft compound tyres. Yinaudi over the line with that spin. 141.8 goes for another flying lap, unsurprisingly, as everyone else now but the V-carb of QB's gone back to the box, and QB over the line at 28.7 would have seen him up, matching Daddy Cool, his teammate, but it was invalidated unfortunately for QB. Edvir still on a hot lap. Yinaudi on a second hot lap comes up to the first sector split and is up by a tenth of a second, as Edvir now down to the last couple of corners, hard onto the brakes. Edvir over the line, 26.7, that's another car into the 26s. 4 tenths covers the top 6. Cam Mackenzie just radioing through, not a bad lap for a couple of lap old softs. On that 27.293, Cam Mackenzie eyeing up then potentially a spot in the top 6, top 7 cars if he can get into the 26s on a new set of softs. Coming back out onto track, funnily enough, is Cam Mackenzie, and they are brand new softs on that Williams. Also back out onto track is XPG Grants, who still needs to set a representative lap time in this session. Yinaudi's invalidated on this lap, but it was going to be a 28.1. Would have seen him P11 in front of Daddy Cool, just behind NMX James in the danger zone. Tasmania and XPG Grants on hot laps. QB's on a hot lap here as well. Round the final corner over the line. No improvement there from QB. Maybe it's time to box and put a set of softs on that V-carb car. Next car to the line will be Edvir, who's coming back to the box. So the next car to the line will be XPG Grant in the Mercedes to start another hot lap. at 33.5. We weren't sure, we didn't see what the issue was, but Grant's backed out on that first lap, the reason for the 33.5. As he dials in the Mercedes, floors it the power and goes over the line to start a new flying lap. As Cam Mackenzie over the line to start his next flying lap, I should say. Yinaudi finally on a clean run through the middle sector, but not looking particularly quick. Truth be told, Yinaudi dives back to pit lane. That could be a set of softs going on. That Red Bull, just to safely get through to quali 3. As Tasmania around the final corner over the line. Looking to improve on that 29.3. Was set on a set of mediums, is now on a set of softs. Daddy Cool is not going to be the next car over the line. It's going to be Daddy Cool's teammate QB, who's set to 29.1. Goes P13 on, still on a set of medium tyres with 5 minutes to go. XPG Grant's very much back on song in the first couple of sectors, down by 3.5 tenths of a second on the previous personal best, so it was all in the final sector that Grant's lost time. Grant's now down to the club chicane as Daddy Cool starts his next flying lap. Grant's round the final corner over the line. Grant's up to P7 on a 26.8. Cam Mackenzie, then the next car to the line, has abandoned this first flying lap, has recharged back and goes back to the pits. Doesn't want to try and set a second lap on those tyres. Cam Mackenzie beginning to come a little bit under pressure, being only 2 spots above the cut zone. And with Daddy Cool improving 10.5 through the first sector, QB still set to set a lap on softs. Taz Managers found time through the first couple of sectors over the line. 28.4 goes P12 for Taz Manager, and you'd expect Yinaudi to find a good chunk of time as well from that 41.8. I just wonder, is the pressure coming to Cam Mackenzie as NMX James in the one McLaren that's here today rolls back out onto track. Also back out onto track comes one of the Aston Martins. That's the Aston of Damir that is rolling down pit lane. Back to the pits comes QB with 3.5 minutes to go. Should just have time to put a set of softs on and go again. Daddy Cool on another hot lap. Round the final couple of corners over the line. Improves to a 28.1, takes back P12 from Taz Manager, just a tenth off NMX James, but half a second behind the safety time of, at the moment, this is the 27.6 of Ale. Newman Ryder retires from the session. Regent's back out on track in the Ferrari. Cam Mackenzie back out onto track along with Damir and NMX James as Regent starts another flying lap. 2 minutes 40 left on the clock. Tasmania's back to the pits. He'll do well to get another set of boots on and get out again. Will the Kick Sauber car? No racing pit stops in the F1 games during qualifying as QB goes back to the fast lane. So too does the Alpine of, which Alpine's that? The Alpine of Adams, as NMX James starts a new flying lap. Needs to find at least half a second to get into the safety zone. A full second should see him through to quali 3, with the gaps in the field being as they are. Both Red Bulls, or the Red Bull of Yinaudi, back out on track as well. NMX James through the first sector split, down by 1/4 of a second through the first sector, exactly what he needs. Daddy Cool back to the box. That is the free carb eliminated in qualifying. Taz Manager 2 now as well, not on track with time enough to get round again. NMX James now down the old pit straight. It's got some cars in front that need to get off the racing line. As through Copse Corner goes James. Now in toward Maggoton Beckett. It's the number 2 of the Aston Martin in front. That was a LA that's just got out the way. Ironically, the car that has the most to lose if James continues to find time. Now through the middle sector split onto the hanger straight for James. Down by half a second now. On the run up towards Stowe Corner, can James put LA under some pressure? Cam Mackenzie's starting a flying lap now as well over the first sector split, down by a couple of hundredths of a second. James hard onto the brakes through the club chicane. Regent retires from the session safe on a 26.3. James to the line, improves by 0.4 of a second. It's not enough, by 0.08 of a second. Tasmanja, QB and Yinaudi all on outlaps. I say that Yinaudi starts a flying lap, so too does QB now as well. Back to the box goes Damir in the Aston Martin. Adams is going for a hot lap. Edveer will get round in time for a hot lap as well, I believe. So we have a yellow flag sector 1 that goes away. 30 seconds left on the clock. Who's going to get round in time for one more? Cam Mackenzie's found a couple of tenths on this particular flying run with 20 seconds to go. No one else will get round after Cam. Tasmanja 15 seconds from the line. Will not, I don't think we'll get round, so we're going to lose Taz as well as Daddy Cool and NMX James. Cam Mackenzie to the line, improves by half a second. 26.7 for Cam Mackenzie, goes P7 with that lap. Checker flag falls, XPG grants Damir, Alex Carew, Daddy Cool and Taz Manager will not be setting any more laps. So eyes turn to QB and Yinaudi. QB's found time through the first sector. Yinaudi's finding time as well. QB through the middle sector split, down by 0.6 of a second as well. NMX James on a slow lap, run out of fuel, was 8 thousandths from safety in the end as Alai's lap has been invalidated. So on the run to the line, Yinaudi to knock out Alai. Yinaudi to the top at 26.341. QB on the run to the line now. Goes P14 at 28.2, found 0.9 of a second at the end. Alai out of qualifying. NMX James gone back to the pits. Cam Mackenzie's finished up. Edveer's still on a push lap, so too is Adams in the Alpine. He goes to the top himself at 126.195. Edveer on a hot lap as well. To the line, Edveer, can he get to the top as well? No, it's a 26.5 for Edveer. Goes P5. Cam Mackenzie then, the last car on track, goes back to the box. And well, that's exciting end to qualifying 2. The top 9 cars all inside 0.8 of a second. The top 10 all inside a second of each other. Quali 3 shaping up to be very exciting given the how much the track is rubbering in. Damir over the line saying ruled well on team radio with a comment most likely of his teammate Alai. He'd rather crash with Damir than invalidate on a lap. And I think a lot of people would agree with you there. As there is the final classification. So I just want to have a look quickly. Adams' sector times here. Race director. 23.7 in the final sector. 32.2. 27.1. Compare that back. It's 23.6 in the final sector. Yinaudi actually had a faster final sector. Who had the purple final sector though? I saw a 23.6 from earlier on at the top of the standings, being the final sector. So, time to gain here around this track. It's so fast. The tyres can die by the end of a qualifying lap. So it's all about who can be the last across the line, because that seems to be where the true pace in this track is. Green flag down the end of the pit lane. We've got 12 minutes on the clock. 10 cars lining up for qualifying. We have 2 Red Bulls, 1 Alpine, 1 Haas, 1 Williams, 1 Aston Martin, 1 Mercedes, 1 Kick Sauber, and 2 Alpines, sorry, and a Ferrari. And the first car rolling there is the Ferrari of Regent. Wants to set the banker lap early. Regent, who's been at the top of the timings, but hasn't gone faster than a 26.2. We've seen Alex Carew do a 25.9. The theoretical best lap time of the session, of qualifying so far. Also rolling down pit lane, Alex Carew and Moomin Rider as well. So arguably the 2 cars to watch out for being the fastest. The 3 cars to watch out for arguably being the fastest through the first 2 rounds of qualifying. The first 3 cars out on track. But what about Adams? What can Adams do in that Alpine? An inter-team battle potentially awaits for pole position. Also rolling down pit lane, XPG Grants and one of the Red Bulls. That's the Red Bull of Ed Fear that's rolling down pit lane. Also rolling now, Litz and Damir. Most of the cars heading out onto track as both Red Bulls go rolling. Out there goes Litz. Adams as well getting released into the fast lane. So all 10 cars are rolling in the final part of qualifying. And we're going to ride on board with Regent in a couple of moments' time when Regent gets around the final couple of corners to start a flying lap. We'll compare Regent, Alex Carew and Moomin Rider's times, sector times as they go through the splits. But Regent, round the couple of corners over the TP box cam we go. Regent starts a flying lap. Absolutely flat through the first 2 corners, taking a little bit of grass on the front left there, a little bit of a lock-up herd through turn 3, the village. Now it's a loop at 4, run out wide, open up Aintree, keep it flat to the floor down the Wellington straight, hug the right hand side of the track, and it's a 26.999 for Regent through the first sector. Alex Carew just going through the loop now. Brooklands and Luffield, then Woodcut absolutely flat out. Moomin Rider as well, also on a hot lap. Alex Carew coming to the first sector split, 26.999, 27.1 for Alex Carew through the first sector. Moomin Rider 27.292, slowest yet of the 3 so far. Regent now through Maggoton, Beckett and Chapel. Open up the DRS, 102 flat for the middle sector. Regent then to the top of the hill, Stowe Corner. You really feel it when you dip down to the club chicane. Hard onto the brakes, you can hear the wheels locking up there. Alex Carew 102 flat to beat, 102.4 through the middle sector. Moomin Rider 102.5. Regent beats a qualifying best so far on a 25.7 and goes to the top of the standings. That banker lap time could be good enough for pole position here. Only one other car has gotten into the 25s yet this qualifying, and that was Alex Carew on a 25.9. Alex, who has bailed on his banker lap in quali 3. Moomin Rider 26.260 takes the P2 spot for the time being. Next to the line goes Cam McKenzie at 26.264, 4 thousandths of a second off Moomin Rider. Cam McKenzie has to settle for P3 for the time being. Grant then leads Edveer and Damir into the final couple of corners. Grant's over the line, 26.5 goes P4. Next up is Edveer to the line, 26.577, 4 thousandths of a second slower, takes P5. Damir 27 flat, P6 slowest of anyone yet so far. Litz backs to the box alongside Alex Carew, so 2 cars bailing on their first banker laps. Yanaudi round the final corner now onto the Hamilton straight, over the line, 26.199 goes to P2, front row of the grid provisionally for Yanaudi so far. Adams also on a hot lap on the run to the line, 26.224 goes P3 in the Alpine. 8 of the 10 cars with lap times in already, and no one inside 0.4 of a second on Regent. As all of the cars head back to the pits, strap on a new set of softs, splash and dash on the fuel, get ready to go again. Regent in the Twitch chat saying, wow, potentially surprised by his own pace there. Not at all surprising. That is a outstanding lap time, 25.7. As I said earlier in the qualifying sessions, where are you, Moomin rider Alex Carew, Adams and Rinaldi? Ball's very much in your court, fellas, with 5 minutes 45 left on the clock in this qualifying, final part of qualifying. And the track goes quiet. But the fans in the grandstands know that they're watching something special here. This has been a hell of a qualifying session so far, and the track has been rubbering in all session long. So who can time their final lap right and get the most out of the track at the end? The last to cross the line. Not a thing that's as spoken about in real life F1 nowadays, being last across the line. I remember 10, 15 years ago, kind of before Rosberg bailed a qualifying lap in what, 2015, 16 in the Mercedes. That was all they talked about in qualifying. Who could be the last over the line, get the most of the track when it's rubbered in. Of course, makes all the difference when it's wet to dry, dry to wet. Because then you can grab the best of the conditions. But it does matter as well when it's just 10 cars in the dry. Who can grab the most of the rubber that's been laid down? Four minutes 15 left on the clock. Still no lap times yet from Litz or Alex Carew. Everyone else has set a lap time. And there is movement at the Haas garage. Moomin Rider in P4 is the next car out onto is the first car out onto track. 3 minutes 50 left on the clock. I get the sense that this could be Moomin Rider's final flying lap, and we'll be doing it when the track is reasonably quiet. Hopefully no traffic to get in the Haas driver's way. As I say that, and there's more movement down in the pit lane, and it's one of the it's the Aston Martin, sorry, of Damir, who amazingly on a 27.0, a lap that at the top of qualifying we were considering quick. Damir on a 27.0, slowest yet of anyone so far in this qualifying session. So 2 cars back out on track, 3 minutes to go. Can anyone get close to the Ferrari of Regent's time? That 25.7 feels potentially a little bit impervious, but Litz is rolling. We have movement at Red Bull and Williams and Alpine and Mercedes, and they're all coming out now onto the track for the final flying laps. And unfortunately for Moomin Rider, they're all coming out just at the point in which he will catch them on his flying lap, as they all squabble for position and getting fresh air. Regent's rolling again as well in the Ferrari. So too is the other Red Bull of Edveer. Alex Cruz still in the box yet. 2 minutes left on the clock. Moomin Rider's on a flying lap. Here we go. The Haas car has it all to do here now. This final qualifying session. Alex Cruz not rolling yet in the Alpine team. Could now have left it a little too late to get a final flying lap in. Alex Cruz then starting P10 in the race. Damir round the final corner over the line. Starts his final qualifying lap. Moomin Rider through the first sector split, down by a tenth and a half. 27-1 for Moomin Rider, who works his way now through Brooklands and Luffield. Most of the cars just going through Maggoton, Beckett and Chapel now. Moomin Rider may get lucky here and not pick up any more traffic. As Alex Cruz does go rolling, but he has now left it too late. Moomin Rider through Maggoton, Beckett and Chapel, unless Alex Cruz is going to give Adams a slipstream down the Wellington and Hanger straights. Moomin Rider now through the middle sector split, down by 0.2 of a second, shaping up on a 26 flat, maybe a high 25. Can Moomin Rider join the front row? Can he pull the final sector of Dreams out and disrupt the apple cart and challenge Regent for that pole position? Moomin Rider now around the final couple of corners, onto the power, up to the line. Moomin Rider to 26 flat, goes to the front row of the grid, but it's very not safe with how many other cars are still to set lap times. Damir then, the next car on the run to the line, has bailed on the lap, was down by 0.4 of a second before invalidating. Damir could have been challenging then the front the rows of the couple of rows of grid in front of him. Alex Cruz on the outlap won't get around to the checkered flag in time to set another flying lap, so Damir at least will start P9 as the checkered flag falls. Next car to the checkered flag will be the Red Bull of Yinaudi, who has found a 2/10 through the first two sectors. Downhill now toward the club chicane, has the Alpine of Alex Carew in front, who's giving him a tow down the Hanger straight, but now it's dirty air for the final couple of corners. Yinaudi over the line, 26-1, can't improve back to the front row of the grid. XPG Grant sliding out of the club chicane on the run to the line in the Mercedes, over the line, can't improve. Litz next to the line in the Sauber, over the line, 26-3, goes P6 next now, will be Adams in the Alpine. Reaches for the line, 26-140, 4,000s in front of Yinaudi, but can't get in front of Moomin Rider. Edvir, the final car to the line, except for Regent, who's dropped her the Exeter Stowe. Edvir to the line, 26-3, remains P7. Moomin Rider and Cam McKenzie have bailed back to the pits, and Regent will come round in front of the crowd and celebrate a very well-deserved pole position with some donuts. 25-7, no one inside 0.3 of a second of the Ferrari car. What a lap, what a driver is this now beginning to be. Is he already the championship elect? Nearly 85 points clear, very well deserved pole position indeed. And there are the final classifications. Other than Regent, who's 3.5 clear, half a second covers pretty much the rest of the top 10. Damir on an invalidated final lap could have improved. Alex Carew was projecting a lap time in that region as well, based off the other qualifying laps that he'd done. So the top 10 all incredibly close to each other for the race to come, which will be in just a couple of minutes, to allow the drivers to have a quick break. Ready for, as I say, ready for the race. I'll be back in just I'll be back in just a couple of seconds to talk strategy a little bit over the 50% 26 lap race to come. Oh dear, and just so I come back from my quick comfort break, I come back to seeing someone has readied up too early, which will call for a lobby reset. Folks, I'm going to pause the stream right here, just while we reset the lobby, and we'll be right back for the race in a couple of moments' time. And the afflicting driver who did start the race too soon will have a qualifying drop and will start the race from last on the grid. So folks, I'll be back in just a couple of moments, and the other penalty to add on to that as well is a 24-second time stop and go penalty. So I'll be back in a couple of moments, and then just to remind you, and I can tell you who has got the qualifying drop and the time penalty, and who will be in the naughty bin come the start of the race. So folks, please don't go anywhere, and I'll be right back. Well, everybody, welcome back to the stream. This is MSC F1 round number 6 of season 7. We are here at the British Grand Prix. We are still just loading up the lobby, and unfortunately, it's just been heard that Litz has got a power outage going on right now, so we could be down a Kick Sauber car. Hopefully the power comes on soon enough to get back into the Grand Prix. So we've got 16 out of the 18 cars in, so we're missing 2. We're missing. And Cinders has pulled from the race as well. Not feeling great. So there's the 2 we're missing. Cinders and Let's, with hopefully Let's coming back in a little while. As Litz has actually just got power back. Oh, that's good news. Just while I'm following along the chat in the Discord channel. Let's getting power back means that we will be up to a complement of 17 drivers on the grid. Ready for the 50% 26 lap race to come. And just a reminder for any drivers watching the stream right now live, remember when we load into the lobby to put your setups on. You'd hate to be stuck with a default setup for 26 laps. As we head in toward the race to come in a couple of moments, just to think about a couple of strategy options that the drivers will have for them. I believe it is going to be a dry race throughout, so 2 types of tyre will have to be used. But the question is, do you go for bold on a 1-stop, start on the mediums and go 10-12 laps before going on to the hards to the end of the race, or vice versa, start on the hards, go to lap 14-16 if you can, set of mediums then to the finish, or a 2-stopper, an aggressive 2-stopper, medium hard, medium soft, maybe soft medium, any variation of. You'll be quicker, but it is such a long pit lane here, 30 something seconds, I believe. 34 I want to say for a pit stop, maybe only 31. But the less time you can spend in there, potentially the better it will be. As it is a race against time now for Litz to try and get back into the race lobby. But it looks like the Kicksalb driver going to be a little bit unlucky this time around. So we will have 16 cars to take us to race time then. As Adams readies up now, that means that we are getting ready for the Grand Prix. The clock ticking down. On the lobby. And we march inexorably toward the race. I'm being asked in the chat, who do I think is winning tonight? It all depends for me on what kind of setup Regent was running during qualifying. If it was a one-lap time trial setup, then I think potentially Adams may get the pace if he can keep it clean, or Moomin Rider as well if he can avoid any scrapes, because Moomin Rider, by his own admission, will admit that he's quick but just gets himself into too many scrapes. But if Regent has got a balanced setup for both qualifying and race pace, then I don't think anyone's getting close to that Ferrari. There's a reason he's 75, 78 points out in front in the driver's standings and carrying Ferrari to the top of the constructors. Indeed, I think DRS not as important around Silverstone as a few other tracks, namely somewhere like Monza, but just because of the high-speed nature of it now. Cam McKenzie backing himself. Regent jokingly saying in the Twitch chat, "Who do you think? What type of setup he's got on? He's just got the fast type of setup on." Now he's just got to go on and prove it. And again, just a reminder to any drivers watching the stream, remember to reload your setups. LA asking, can Beaton do anything from last? I reckon points is probably a fair shout for Beaton. I reckon definitely a top 10 finish. I'd be surprised if that wasn't doable in the Mercedes, but I'd be impressed if it was a podium or a top 5, considering just how racy everything was in qualifying. Maybe I'd probably put it a 1 in 3 chance of a top 5, a 1 in 6 for a podium, but pretty much an evens chance for points over the 26 laps. Iceman in the Twitch chat saying hello. Ice not keeping your seat after last weekend, P2 in Austria. Flavio Briatore obviously didn't want you to stick around. As we wait for the last couple of moments. And away we go for the formation lap this time around. Everyone's setting off at the right time. And let's have a look what strategies we have, and we have the rainbow here today. And it was Storms then that triggered the last lobby too early. So Storms then starting from the back and will take a drive-through penalty added to the time at the end of a 24-second, or the equivalent of a drive-through penalty. 24 seconds added then to Storm's race time come the checkered flag for the early start as well as the qualifying drop. So then on row 8 of the grid, Storms lines up on a set of softs behind Beaton in the Mercedes. Row 7, Tasmania behind QB, medium softs on that row. On row 6, Daddy Cool and NMX James, both thinking a set of hards is the right way to go. Row 5, LA and Alex Carew, medium hard respectively for those two. Damir then and Grant both gone for a set of mediums on row 4. Row 3, same story as well. Cam McKenzie lines up P5 in front of Edvir on a set of mediums each respectively. Row 2, Adams from Yanaudi, medium hard there. Split strategies then at Red Bull and Alpine for that matter. And on the front row of the grid, the one Haas versus the one Ferrari, and it's a split strategy there. It's mediums for Moomin Rider on P2, the dirty side of the grid, and hards for Regent on the clean side of the grid, the right hand side of the track on the reverse angle, the left hand side as you drive it. And now they reform the grid. Regent there, getting some burnouts in, lighting up those rear tyres. Make sure they're fully warmed up for the 5 red lights, and Moomin Rider there right on the limit of parking. That is absolutely beautiful from the Haas driver. Looking back through the field, I love this over the top shot as the last cars take their spots. We wait as the eyes look to the gantry for those all important lights. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it's lights out and it's go, 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 and we are racing in Silverstone, and it's a better start for Moomin Rider from the dirty side of the grid than Regent was expecting. The medium tyres working well, and straight away Moomin Rider's up into the lead. Adams then holds on to P3 from Edvir, Cam McKenzie, Grant, Yanaudi, Damir. Alele's made a move on Alex Carew as we head down into Village and the Loop. This is where you can so easily trip over each other if you're not careful, but Alex Carew, P10. Beaton's had a flying start from P15 already up into P11 and challenging the two Astons in front, and all of a sudden we're 3-4 wide down toward Brooklands and Luffield, and through goes Alex Carew on the inside of both Aston Martins. That's going to force LA out wide, and now here comes Beaton trying to have a dance around the outside at Luffield. Some great racing going on here halfway through lap 1. Looking back, we've got James storms up from P16 to P13 on the set of softs. QB P14, Tasmania and Daddy Cool, but at the front of the field Moomin Rider got the best launch off the front row and is trying to break away now from Regent, needs to break away from Regent on that set of medium tyres. Obviously strategy depending. As down the hanger straight we go for the first time. And is anyone going to line up a move down to up towards Stowe Corner? All of the top 10 running very well behaved. Beaton had a quick look there on Damir, but was too far back. LA and NMX James very close to each other as well, but down toward the Vale chicane. That was a Mercedes of XPG Grant sending one up the inside on Cam McKenzie, and now down toward Club Corner. Cam McKenzie holds on to P5 at the end of lap 1, but that Mercedes behind looking very racy. Yanaudi and Alex Carew, not much separating them as well. Alex Carew, who didn't get a qualifying lap in quali 3, sends one up the inside at Village, and he is now up into P7 on those hard compound tyres. But down toward Brooklands go the leaders, and it's DRS advantage for Regent. Ferrari versus Ferrari powered Haas. We've got a spinner at the back there, QB, who's dropped it through the loop. Gets back onto the track, so Regent's had to hold P2. Then there's Adams, Edvir, Cam McKenzie, Grant, Alex Carew still tucked up behind the Mercedes now after dispatching the Red Bull earlier in the lap. Beaton still tucked up behind Damir, LA, NOX James. Then there's a gap back to Storms, Tasmania, Daddy Cool and QB. As through Maggots and Beckett's we go, and Regent still sticking to the back of the Haas car. Open up the DRS now, sit in the slipstream And Moomin Rider early on the recharge, and through goes Regent, retakes the lead of the Grand Prix at Stowe Corner. It's Cam Mackenzie there, holds off Grant, who runs out wide, and through goes Alex Carew. He's up now to P6, in very quick order. Alex Carew trying to put the hammer down at the start of this race. Regent takes the purple lap of a 29.7. Daymir dropping Beaton a bit, catching Yanaudi a little bit more, but the front 12 here, all in one long DRS train. Well, I say that Edviz dropped out of it to a degree, and Adams is only just keeping tabs on the two leaders, but Edvir forming a bit of a DRS train behind. As on to the Wellington straight we go, and Alex Carew absolutely flying in the Alpine. Cam Mackenzie's got to go defensive. Alex Carew swooping around the outside in the Alpine at Brooklands. Through goes Cam Mackenzie, back up the inside. Better drive into Luffields for the Williams, and Cam gets to hold on to P5 and number 2 in the train for a little while longer yet. But Alex Carew sitting behind in the Alpine is looking very fast at the start of the race. Alele still tucked up behind Beaton, who's dropping it through Cops Corner, and through now will go Alele, and James may have a run on the Mercedes as well. No, the McLaren too far back on this occasion, but Beaton there with a slide, although what that's going to do is allow him to pick up DRS on the back of Alele. And can Beaton reclaim this as Alex Carew versus Cam Mackenzie has gone up the hill towards Stowe Corner, and Alex Carew on the Alpine in the inside gets up into P5 but runs out a little too wide out of Stowe and picks up a 3-second time penalty as well for the discretion. As Adams a 1.5 seconds off the leading Giro. Moomin Rider a second off Regent. The Ferrari now trying to drive away from the rest of the field. Tasmania's got in front of Storms for P13 further back. And Alex Carew now already up to P5 from P9. And he's almost pushing Edvir through Aintree. He's already alongside by the time they get to the bridge. He's ahead by the time they get to the bridge, in fact, on the Wellington straight. And now Alex Carew up to P4. Has that early penalty to contend with, but I don't think that will bother him too much, the way that Alpine is lighting up the world at the moment. Further back, XPG Grants close to the back of Cam Mackenzie, but nothing being made there as Cam Mackenzie a little wide out of Cops Corner. So too was Yanaudi, in fact, and Daymir dropping off the leaders a little bit now. Is outside of DRS range by the time they get to Maggots and Beckett's. The medium tyres then maybe not holding as much life in them as one might expect. QB picks up a 3-second time penalty for track extending as well. Alele and Daymir swap positions. That was nicely done by the Aston Martin team. And Alele now up to P9, but can Beaton capitalise on this as well down toward the Vale chicane? No, he can't. Storms and Daddy Cool swapping positions. Storms in the Williams, Daddy Cool in the V-Carb. V-Carb up the inside at the Vale chicane. Daddy Cool not quite close enough on this occasion, but the old up and under now down toward Club Corner. Softs versus hards. Have the softs on Storms gone off a little bit? Judging by the way Tasmania is driving away, the answer could be yes. But nothing going there by the time they get to the end of the Lewis Hamilton straight. Meanwhile, the two Alpines getting very close to having to swap positions. Alex Carew inside half a second already down at Brooklands. Cam Mackenzie still sticking with Edvir, and that DRS really helping him hold off Grants. Beaton now in front of back in front of an Aston Martin, this time in front of Daymir, and now James trying to get involved in the action as well as Alex Carew gets in front of Adams. The Alpine swapping position on the old pit straight. Alex Carew now 2 seconds off Moomin Rider, 3.5 off the lead. Edvir's run wide out of Cops Corner and has picked up Yanaudi coming back onto the track, and Edvir gets a 10-second time penalty for a severe collision. And now Yanaudi doesn't have much of a front wing, and he's going to fall a long way down the order. Edvir, whatever has just gone on there, absolute catastrophe for the Red Bull team. Cam Mackenzie loses out to XPG Grants. The DRS there not on Cam Mackenzie's side. Will Edvir dive to the pits? No, that Red Bull's all right, but the other one very much isn't. It's Cam Mackenzie there launching an attack at the back of Grant into the Vale chicane. Wasn't close enough but was trying to show the nose of the Williams. Yinaldi's made it back to the pit lane, and he will fall to the back of the pack. And annoyingly for Yinaldi, he was on a set of hard, so it's a new front wing and a set of mediums going onto that Red Bull. And away goes Yinaldi back into the race. Regent 2 seconds clear now of Moomin Rider, who has Alex Carew all over the back. Alex Carew half a second now off Moomin Rider. Could be going and challenging Regent very quickly, given the speed that Alpine is carrying. That really is remarkable. As through Copse Corner goes the Alpine car, sitting behind the Haas, looking back. Cam McKenzie sticking with XPG Grants, but Ed Veer loitering in the background. Then there's Alea who's got beaten for close company. Daddy Cool and Storms have been caught by QB in the battle for 13th. As Ed Veer now in front of Cam McKenzie. In fact, Cam McKenzie has dropped it on the exit of Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Gets back underway, but love to see if Cam McKenzie has any damage there. It looks like might be missing a section of that Williams' front wing. It's now both Williams head to the pits. Cam McKenzie importantly getting in front of Storms, who will have to double stack, unfortunately for the driver who started the race on the set of soft compound tyres. Alex Carew, in the meanwhile, where we were looking at Cam McKenzie, has got past Moomin Rider and is 2.5 seconds off the lead. Moomin Rider dropped back down then to P3. Alea tucked up behind Ed Veer and bringing Beaton and Damir and James along as well. In fact, James trying to show the nose of the McLaren to scare Damir a little bit down toward Brooklands, but nothing coming down there. Cam McKenzie's been serviced with a new front wing and a new set of hard tyres, and away goes Cam McKenzie. Yinaldi already through the photo. But that's 2 cars then in the midfield in the space of 2 laps of full foul at Copse Corner. Alex Carew matching times with Regent. Regent's picked up the pace in a little bit of a retaliation. Gap down to 2.3, but not gaining as quickly as he was before is Alex Carew. Two V-Carb cars very close to each other. Daddy Cool versus QB, with Storms getting out of the way. Daddy Cool able to drive away from his teammate a little bit into the box. Now comes Beaton in the kicks in the Mercedes, but can't get it slowed down enough. Picks up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the lane, and only 8 laps in. This is a 2-stopper then for Beaton in the Mercedes onto a set of hards. And away he goes back out into the race. Will come out behind the V-Carbs, but in front of Yinaldi. So Alea then still tucked up behind Ed Veer. Dame is going to have trouble keeping NMX James behind us. Here comes the McLaren versus Aston Martin down toward Brooklands. Damir to the outside. Damir to the inside. Sorry, Yinaldi fastest on a 29.6. James still going to have to sit and wait a little while longer yet. Alex Carew, another 3-second time penalty for track extending, but he's now just 2 seconds off the back of Regent. If he can catch pass and pull away from Regent, he may just win this race with this kind of pace. So now onto the hangar straight come the midfield battles. Alea too far back. Too far off the back of Ed Veer, but NMX James right up behind Damir, up towards Stowe. He's going to have to go the long way round as the McLaren driver. That's not going to stop James though. Damir keeps his nose on the inside, and there's a little bit of contact. It may have been wheel to wheel, but it's enough to get Damir loose and into the inside at Stowe, and Damir gets out of it, and is NMX James, I should say, looks like he was getting out of it there and thinking about returning the position as Alea and Moomin Rider into the box. It's medium for Moomin Rider, medium for Alea as well. So 2 stops are plenty then in this race by the looks of it. Taz Manager into the box as well. Through goes Daddy Cool. QB going very slowly out of Vale, as here comes Beaton past. Beaton will, who was racing LA, swoops around Abbey and Farm and is up into P10 then, back in front of LA. The undercut working well for the Mercedes. Alex Crew now just 1.1 seconds off the back of Regent. Maybe by the next straight he'll be in DRS range. That will be a crucial point for the Alpine car that has just been, I think it's safe to say, the fastest car on track for the race, as Yanaudi has dropped it at Village. Storms picks up a 3-second time penalty for track extending. NMX James still hasn't given back the position that he took last lap, but Regent's into the pit lane, only 10 laps in, off a set of hards. So the two-stopper then is the way to go, the way it would seem. And Regent then onto a set of the mediums. Meanwhile, I don't know whether the position was given back or whether it was taken, but Damir's back in front of NMX James, and this may work out badly for Regent, as here come the squabbling duo, and Regent's going to come out behind both of them as he sticks his nose back up the inside at Village and gets back past NMX James, and now tries to go dancing around the outside of Damir at the loop, and he just picks up two positions like that. It's so easy for Regent, it would seem, and now in doing so that's squandered Damir somewhat, and NMX James, with the help of DRS, blast back past. Yanaudi back into the pit lane so soon and picks up a 10-second time penalty, speeding in the pit lane, and that's enough for the Red Bull. Decides to retire from the session. So with Regent boxing last time around, what does the leader of the race do? Alex Carew started the race in 9th, has flown his way up the field. Alex Carew carries on for yet another lap. On to lap 11 he will go. Adams meanwhile through Stowe Corner, roundabout now for a one-stop. It's a long stint on the set of hards to the end of the race from here, but Adams thinking that 10 laps on a set of mediums will do. Through go Grants and Edvir, both on a set of medium tyres, which will be feeling pretty second hand by now. There's Adams in the lane. It is a set of hard tyres going on. Good stop from the Alpine boys and girls, and away he goes back out into the race. It's through go Damir, who's been caught by Moomin Rider. Damir's fallen off the back of NMX James somewhat, it has to be said. Moomin Rider up the inside at Village. And the Haas gets the move done. Adams has come out just in front of Beaton. So the undercut working well there for the Mercedes, as now Beaton tries to go around the outside of Village, runs out a little too wide, puts the nose back up the inside at the loop. Now he'll have to wait through Aintree, wait on the power. The warmed tyres of the Mercedes versus the hards of the brand new hards of the Alpine, but Beaton too far back by the time they get to Brooklands to go for the overtake. We'll have Beaton having to stay then in P10. Moomin Rider already onto the back of NMX James. Meanwhile, Alex Carew carries on for another lap. It's through Maggots and Beckett's go Moomin Rider and NMX James. And Moomin Rider making that pass with DRS. Medium, the strategy so far for the Haas, and making use, all the use he can of those new medium tyres. Into the box come Edvir and Grants. Mercedes versus Red Bull race in the pit lane, both going on to a set of hards, both looking to get to the end from here. There's also into the box comes Damir as well, and it's a much better stop for Grants than it is for Edvir, who has the 10-second collision penalty to serve from collecting his teammate, and that's only just going to get him back out in front of Damir. The Aston Martin team, the Aston Martin car, slightly too far back to pick up that position, but Cam McKenzie close enough to pick up them both as he carries on for another lap. On to lap 12, so too through comes Taz Manager in the Kicksauber car. Meanwhile, Beaton still tucked up behind Adams in the Alpine. Gets on the power through Woodcut down the old back straight. The Mercedes, I don't think is quite close enough here for a move. As Alex Carew carries on for another lap. Target lap, I reckon, for hards to mediums on a one-stopper. Minimum lap 14, ideal about lap 16. But Regent going for a two-stopper, only 9 laps on the hards. Two-stopper then, so it's basically a one-stop race between Regent and Alex Carew. Regent just has to make up 12 seconds, giving Alex Carew 6 seconds worth of penalties so far. Beaton has 10 for speeding in the lane. Storm and QB both have 3 for track extending. Reminds us of those yet to stop. It's just Alex Carew, NMX James and Daddy Cool who have all yet to make it their mandatory pit stop, or their first pit stop, sorry. Well, technically Moomin Rider is yet to make his mandatory pit stop, going medium. On the tyre strategy so far as XPG grants new tyres versus the V-Carbs hards of Daddy Cool, and he makes up to P8 just behind Delay, who's tucked up behind Beaton, who's still tucked up behind Adams who has fallen away somewhat the pace of Moomin Rider and Regent in front, and Alex Carew's teammate as well, but Adams still very much looking to try and nab a top 4, top 5 finish for Alpine if he can, make it a really good points haul for Alpine if Alex Carew can go on in this race and potentially win it. Of course, he's got to go onto both Regent and Alex Carew will box onto a set of mediums most likely to get to the end of the race as Taz Manager picks up his first 3-second time penalty for track extending. Is into the pits now comes NMX James, probably a lap before he would have ideally wanted to, but it's a set of mediums onto the McLaren. And away he goes, back out into the Grand Prix. As through will go Daddy Cool, potentially Cam McKenzie as well, if James is unlucky. Indeed, he will have to be. Task Manager's got Edveer and Damir tucked up behind as well. And this could be close on pit exits. Regent picks up a 3-second time penalty for track extending. NMX James will come out behind Task Manager. Here comes Edveer down toward Village, so NMX James then out in P12. Edveer's gone deep. That's going to allow James to have a go around the outside at the loop, but nothing going there. But the old up and under now out of Aintree down onto the Wellington Straight. It's Taz Manager leading the way from Edveer and NMX James. Dame is going to have to sit in P13 for the time being. As finally now Alex Carew heads to the pit lane. I said lap 14 would be the time to stop on a one-stopper. Alele still sticking with Beaton, who has dropped now off the back of Adams. QB's picked up his second 3-second time penalty of the day into the box for Alex Carew. On go a brand new set of medium tyres and away he goes. Regent then takes back the lead in the Ferrari. Question is, where is Moomin Rider? Through goes Moomin Rider as well, so Alex Carew will come out in P3 as Alele into the box for a second time. Just to confirm, Alex Carew did come out in P3. He's some 13 seconds off the lead of the race on track. 16 seconds off the lead of the race given his penalty deficit. Edveer's got past Taz Manager and this little squad of cars, Edveer, Taz Manager, NMX James and Damir, all make their way past Alele as well. It's Alex Carew just reining in. Moomin Rider already the gap down from 4 to 3 seconds in just 2/3 of a lap. Alex Carew on those brand new set of mediums. He was fast on the hards at the start of the race. This could be lightning pace from the Alpine team. There's NMX James now in the McLaren down the old pit straight, makes it past Taz Manager by the time they get to Copse Corner. Taz runs out wide because of that, and here will come Damir now. Maggott and Beckett's wheel to wheel. So easy to get that wrong, but Damir and Taz Manager showing each other great respect there, and Damir gets up into P11. Moomin Rider not holding up Alex Carew in any sense, and the medium tyres give way to a set of hards onto the Haas car. Daddy Cool into the pits for the first time today, goes long and picks up a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Cam Mackenzie also into the box as well. Moomin Rider out then in P6 and plenty of free air. Daddy Cool and Cam Mackenzie will do well to get out in front of Storms in the other Williams, who is also shaping up for a pit stop this time around. So Williams double stacking here by necessity. As Alex Carew now just 10.5 seconds off the lead of the race. The two Mercedes swap positions down the old pit straight. Grant's getting up to P4. 3 seconds off the back of Adams. Can Grant go and put pressure on Adams for what could potentially be a podium, depending on how Moomin Rider goes on this set of hard compound tyres that he's just fitted? The advantage that region has, of course, on this two-stopper is he can go hell for leather. Alex Carew, 128.2, purple lap, will have to keep a little bit of life in those tyres to get to the end, especially if he's going to be asked to battle with Regent for the potential race win. Beaten into the box for Mercedes for the second time today. A set of mediums from here comfortably to the end. But 10-second penalty for speeding in the lane to serve first for Beaton from the last pit stop. And on go actually a new set of hard tyres for Beaton, as Cam Mackenzie picks up a 3-second time penalty for track extending as he looks to hunt down Daddy Cool. These two could be, well, won't be as close as I thought to Beaton as they make their way down the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight, but Beaton already out back onto the racing surface. Grant's now 2.5 seconds off the back of Adams for, as I say, what will potentially be the battle for the podium, and Adams picks up a 3-second time penalty to go with that, and the race leader Regent makes it into the pits and just about slows the Ferrari down in time to not pick up a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Cam Mackenzie has made his way past Daddy Cool at Brooklands and Luffield, and it's a set of medium tyres on for Regent in the Ferrari, unsurprisingly. And crucially for Regent, he's got to get out in front of Adams. He doesn't need to make his way past both Alpine cars to win the race. And if he can't get out in front of Adams, then surely Grant's as well. Grant's, who's just making his way through, it's going to be close, but I think Grant's is going to get out in front of the Ferrari here. But we know how aggressive Regent can be on the new medium tyres when he has to be. But he's going to have to sit behind Grant's for a little while. Yeah, this is a godsend then for Alex Carew, who has a little bit of time, not to waste, but to just help pull some extra gap out, while Adams, who will be asked to make the Alpine as big as he can. NMX James versus Damir. This battle that's been raging for so much of, well, in fact, most of the last 18 laps, if not all of them, still goes on. This is now the battle for P7, with everyone else falling by the wayside. Cam Mackenzie tucked up behind Beaton now as well for P11. This battle is. As yellow flag, sector 3, that is for slow moving XD Storms, who has gone back to the pit lane for the Williams team, and picks up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the lane. Day going from bad to worse for Storms, who is now a lap down. And Storms then retires from the session in the pit lane. Adams now 15 seconds off the lead, but 1 second behind is the Ferrari of Regent. How long can Adams try and hold up the Ferrari for the team? Human Rider in P4, 10 seconds, 9 seconds I should say, sorry, off Grant. Can Moomin Rider try and regather a podium from this weekend? As Regent makes his way past without much hassle from Adams down the Wellington straight. 15.5 seconds. He is on track behind Regent, but the net gap is only 12.3 seconds, giving the penalty deficit that Alex Carew has to Regent. Meanwhile, Damir versus NMX James. The Aston sticking with the McLaren, but not much going. But NMX James is slowly catching Edvir here for potentially the battle for P6. We'll keep an eye on that one if it develops, should it develop. Moomin Rider now 8.5 off the back of XPG Grants. Needs to catch it over a second a lap if he wants a sniff at P4. Regent has to catch at a concerning rate of 2 seconds a lap if he wants to try and win this Grand Prix. That is a tall ask, but unless Alex Carew's tyres could fall off the proverbial cliff with a couple of laps to go. We've seen it before at Silverstone. I think back to the 70th anniversary Grand Prix 2020, Lewis Hamilton winning the race on 3 wheels on the last lap. Verstappen boxing just to cover off the chance of a puncture. Comes out too far behind, about 5 seconds too far behind to catch Hamilton before the end of the race. Alex Carew will be trying to nurse those tyres to stop them repeating the feat, as it were. Meanwhile, Grant's 1.7 off the back of Adams was closer than this before Regent came out the pit lane, but can Grant catch back up to the Alpine and challenge for P3, or will he just be happy to sit inside the 3-second penalty window that Adams has? Moomin Rider now 7.8 off the back of Grant and gaining all the while. That one still could come down to the wire. Edvir's pulled away from NMX James, gap up from 1.7 to 2.3. NMX James, who still has Damir very much on his tail. Cam McKenzie and Beaton are about to catch up with Taz Manager one more time. Taz Manager, who's on a one-stopper, versus Beaton and Cam, who are both on 2 stoppers. The gap at the front now 13.8. Grant's 1.2, back to Adams 7.5, then back to Moomin Rider. This one could go down right to the last lap here, folks, so don't go anywhere. As Damir still continues to sit behind NMX James. Cam McKenzie sitting behind Beaton. Beaton just 2 seconds now off the back of Taz Manager as they go over the line to start lap 21 of 26. 6 to go, including this one for these two. XPG Grant still just 0.2 outside Adams' DRS range. Can you get it done on track? Moomin Rider 7 seconds now off the back of Grant. The tyre advantage falling away maybe a little bit. Can Moomin Rider get inside Adams' 3-second penalty window though? That is the other question. The other way to pick up a spot. Can Moomin Rider bring the Haas home for P4? As Beaton now right on the back of Taz Manager, wheel to wheel, up towards Stowe, I should say, round the outside. Taz Manager comes back up the inside, but it's not enough to stop Beaton in the Mercedes, who goes around the outside. And now here comes Cam Mackenzie showing the nose of the Williams up the inside toward the failed chicane. Can't get it done, but the old up and under is pushing Taz through club corner. Cam Mackenzie now down the Lewis Hamilton straight, goes to the inside for Abbey and Farm, but gets forced out. Taz Manager making that Sauber very wide indeed. And now up toward Village, Cam Mackenzie dives to the inside. There's a little bit of wheel banging, but that is some good racing there. Good stout defending from Taz Manager. It's cost Cam Mackenzie almost it has cost Cam Mackenzie 2 seconds by the time he makes his way past. He's now 2 seconds off Beaton and a potential top 10 finish. Grant's now inside DRS range of Adams. Moomin Rider 6 seconds further back. Cam Mackenzie's out. He's out of the race. Dropping it at the exit of Brooklands just after he's made his way past Taz Manager. Cam Mackenzie out of the Grand Prix. Looks like it wasn't a full crash as the AI took back control of the race. Cam, I know you usually watch the stream. What has gone on there? I'd love to know in the Williams. As at the front of the field, the gap just under 12 seconds. Region, it looks like it's too much to do then for the Ferrari. Grant's 7.5 tenths off the back of Adams. Inside DRS range, sitting and closing all the while. Daymere still sitting with NMX James, but bringing along LA into the fight now. 2 Astons versus 1 McLaren. Daddy Cool tucked up behind Taz Manager. Daddy Cool, who's had a quietly really good race for the V-Carb driver. Only 6.5 seconds off a top 10 finish. Daddy Cool should be really happy with this if he can get past Taz for P11. This XPG Grants versus Adams goes through Maggot and Beckett and onto the hanger straight for the 23rd time of 26. Alex Carew starts the third to last lap now. He's got 11 seconds advantage to Regent, 8 seconds when you take in to the fact the penalty count back. He picked up 6 seconds of penalties early in the race as he carved his way through the field. P9 to P2 in an extraordinarily quick manner, and is trying to make the one-stop work here. He just needs to make sure that the medium tyres he's on do not explode between now and the checkered flag. Damien NMX James still going on for P7. McLaren versus Aston. LA not too far off the back of this now as well. Daddy Cool still stuck up behind Taz Manager in the battle for P11. Taz trying to get as defensive as possible in defence of P11. These two in the Tier 2 Drivers' Championship as well. A hidden championship that runs underneath the main race. It's almost like a class system from endurance racing, in which these two are very much part of it. I need to have a look at the championship standings in the for the Tier 2 drivers, because that battle is very much important for them, as is the main championship battle for those that would find themselves more typically at the front of the field. Meanwhile, XPG Grants versus Adams. Up toward the hangar, up toward Stowe corner, down the hangar straight. Nothing going there for the Mercedes this time around. Taz Manager, a 3-second time penalty. Another one. What does that mean? Penalty count. Daddy Cool has 10 seconds of penalties to Taz Manager's 6. So Taz has a 4-second advantage then on Daddy Cool, unless he picks up more penalties between now and the end of the race. Alex Carew's on his penultimate lap. The chances for Grants to make an overtake are getting smaller and smaller. We have a yellow flag in the first sector. That's for QB, who's gotten out of the way of the race leader. Alex Carew, who's just put a lap on him. Grants, the number of chances you've got are getting smaller and smaller. Daymere, he's fallen back off James. Here comes LA, beaten into the pit lane just before the end of the race. He couldn't get to the end. That's going to allow Taz and Daddy Cool back through. Taz then in a battle for P10. Daddy Cool right there behind. Cam McKenzie leaves the session. I still would love to know what happened to Cam at the end of the race. Beaton onto a set of softs to go for the fastest lap. We'll need to get out in front of Alex Carew for a chance of setting that fastest lap attempt. Tasmania versus Daddy Cool still going on. Meanwhile, Adams versus XPG Grants onto the hanger straight for the penultimate time. Alex Carew starts the final lap now. Grants up towards Stowe Corner, too far back. Adams using the battery in the Alpine expertly, but there's not much of that battery left. It's blinking away, recharging. And here comes Moomin Rider now as well, 3.8 off the back of Grants. Adams has a 3-second time penalty to serve for track extending at the end of the race. Can Moomin Rider get close enough to pick that up come the checkered flag? Meanwhile, Tasmania and Daddy Cool, the gap just car lengths between them through Copse Corner as they make their way through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. Equally, these drivers don't have that long left to try and sort out their positions, and Daddy Cool taking a different line through Maggots and Beckett, but it's going to cost him. Onto the hanger straight we go. Alele's got in front of Damir for P8. Can he launch an attack on NMX James in the dying moments of the race? XPG Grants wasn't able to do anything at Brooklands or Luffield. He just has one more DRS straight to go as this battle makes its way through the club chicane. And in fact, Daddy Cool has got a much better run out of Vale. I just saw it on the mini-map there and thought it could be worth going back to. Daddy Cool around the outside. And don't tell me that that is Tasmania with a puncture. No, he's just going slow. Tasmania now just needs to stay within 4 seconds of Daddy Cool to get that spot back. Alele's got in front of NMX James. Meanwhile, Alex Carew has won the Grand Prix from P9 on the grid. Regent will come home to finish 4.8 seconds further back. Adams is going to hold on from XPG Grants for P3, but where is Moomin Rider on track? But it will be P4 unless Moomin Rider can get close enough around the final couple of corners over the line. It's P4 for Adams. It's not, it's P5 for Moomin Rider. By 65 thousandths of a second, Moomin Rider will take home P4 for Haas. Both Aston Martins have got in front of Daddy Cool, who's gone long with a puncture at Stowe Corner. I don't believe it. Right at the end, Tasmania versus Daddy Cool. Daddy Cool trying to break free. 1.6 seconds clear. Alele will come home P7. Damir will, who has gone wide and has given the position back to NMX James in a great show of sportsmanship. Just about NMX James makes it around Vale for P8 on the track in front of Damir. Daddy Cool won't quite get the gap back to Tasmania that he needs to pick up P10 on track. So Taz will come home P10, but it was a hell of a race for them both. Beaton will get them both on the line. I don't know whether Beaton got the fastest lap at the end. We'll have to look on the final classifications. But what a race. What an end to the British Grand Prix. That is why the old tracks are the best, in my not so humble opinion. But there is the podium celebrations. Alex Carew, what a race he drove. Regent had the pace in qualifying, but the two-stop strategy wasn't the one in the Grand Prix. And XPG Grants had a quietly solid race, P6 to P3, very well-deserved podium for the Mercedes team. So we wait to see the final classifications. There are the in-game awards. Beaton did bring in the fastest lap right at the end there, as well as the most overtakes and the in-game driver of the day. Moomin Rider gets the cleanest driver award according to the game, and it was a 28-0 on the last lap for Beaton to pick up the fastest lap of the race. But folks, there is been a fantastic British Grand Prix. My driver of the day, the game gave it to Beaton. I've got to give it to Alex Carew, 9th to 1st, and all of that hard work done in the first stint, the first 10 laps really. Alex Carew sized through the field. Folks, I've been Sharp. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you all again very, very soon. But for now, good night and goodbye.